Things only have meaning to the degree that they are reinforced. If you can understand this, then you can solve all the lack of meaning that you have in your life and all the lack of purpose that you have. And perhaps as well, much of the motivation difficulty and perhaps even the discipline difficulties that you may be experiencing. Think about this. Any belief system that you have had growing up that you may have fallen out of may simply just be because of the lack of reinforcement. If you have experienced growing up in a fundamentalist religion, and then as you have exited those environments where you're reinforced with those ideas every single day, you might notice that those belief systems falling away from you. Even the more simple one, let's say you were reinforced every day as a child, especially around Christmas time, that Santa Claus was real, right? You actually really believed it, genuinely believed it. And it was reinforced into you, like this is reality. Or notice any belief system that you've had growing up of maybe not being good enough, or maybe I'm not one to be able to do this. And then years later, you actually end up doing the thing, whether it's like public speaking or being able to jump from that really high place, like off the diving board into the pool, or or I'm not one to go skiing on the Black Diamond runs. That's crazy, you know. Or I'm not one to be watching those kinds of movies or films. Those are too scary, or those are too intense, or whatever it is. Notice so many of your belief systems and beliefs about your own capacity in life is dependent on what was reinforced and what was not reinforced. And so notice right now, what belief systems do you have that are not serving you? And maybe they're not even actively, and some of them are probably actively pulling you down, like you got a gremlin in your head that's telling you all the ways that you're just not good enough, and this is why you should be scared, and this is why you don't have the power, and this is why you can't change, and this and that. There's that. And then there's also beliefs around like, that's just not in the cards for me. Maybe you believe like, maybe that person can get that kind of success, but me, look at my personality. I have these personality tests telling me that I'm not going to be able to do that. I have these my experiences that telling me I'm not going to be able to do that. And so then you actually genuinely start to believe that is who you are. You have been reinforcing yourself with experiences and with the stories you've been telling yourself about how to interpret those experiences. So often we are in this paradigm of especially seeing success and failure as determinants of whether we're good enough, rather than viewing them as simply as just experience. We'll always get tripped up in that. But notice for a second, anywhere that you're lacking meaning in your life, that maybe you want meaning, notice this might just be a difference. The thing that actually might just make the difference for you is the degree upon which it is reinforced. If you right now are not very confident with speaking to people or approaching new people or meeting new people, it might be as simple as a fundamental tweak in how you talk to yourself, in how you reinforce the messaging you give to yourself around, are you saying, oh yeah, I am this kind of person that is just shy, like I am someone with social anxiety? How much are you reinforcing yourself with that? What if you reinforce yourself with more constructive narratives? Is like, I am super curious about what people have to say. I want other people's attention and I pursue other people's attention. Like whatever's going to help you, whatever belief system that's going to help you bootstrap yourself to facing that fear, to be able to actually become the personality that you want to become. Have you ever seen one of the greats of whatever field it is? Like for me, it's like like a Tony Robbins or like a Wayne Dyer or a Leo Gira. Like I'll see these individuals and I'll see them perform and they're speaking. Sean Stevenson, another one comes to mind, or Prince EA. These are people that that are like speakers, and they speak, and some more motivational, some more educational. They all speak, some more storytelling, some less storytelling. And but what I'll notice with all these speakers is that I will really admire them in some way. And I've noticed that anytime we admire something in someone else, it is because it is showing a mirror upon who we want to become. And so notice what that is for you. Who do you look up to? Maybe it's an artist that you really like and you love drawing and stuff like that, and maybe you love drawing manga or art or comics or whatever, and you have like a set of manga artists that you're like, man, like if I can make a story and like a manga like that, like that'd be amazing. And that's a reflection, that's a hint on where you want to be going. But the question now is, how are you reinforcing that? How are you what kind of self-talk are you telling yourself to get yourself further or closer away from that ideal, further away from that goal? I've noticed myself, just I genuinely want to be so social. I have a role model, which is my dog Leah that has passed 2 years ago, and she would be at the dog park and she would just go up to everyone. She'd go up to every person, every other dog, and she'd be prancing around with her fur and wagging back and forth. And I just noticed she's just like, "Hi, I'm here. Come love me now." And that has been inspiring for me in terms of like those are socialization goals. Those are confidence goals right there. To be able to just be like, "Hey, I exist." Like, I like to meet you. And having no self-judgment about yourself. Just go and do it. And so what kind of narrative can I be telling myself that's going to serve me, and what kind of narratives am I going to be telling myself that's not going to serve me, and what am I reinforcing, and what am I not reinforcing, right? So let's take this example of talking to people, right? If I notice that there's someone that I'm drawn to talk to, maybe they're beautiful, maybe I'm attracted to them, maybe they got something interesting that they're wearing, whatever it is, that now is a choice I have to make. And what circuit am I going to reinforce? Am I going to reinforce the circuit of curiosity and reinforce like, oh yes, like I am the kind of person that gets their way in terms of like if I'm curious about something or if I want to speak about something to someone, I will approach them, right? Am I going to reinforce that in my mind, in my narrative, and then am I going to reinforce that in my action? I've noticed as well, techniques like visualization is really powerful for this. Techniques like affirmations are really powerful for this. How much are you reinforcing who you want to become, who you came here to be? I'm a real believer in programming your mind and programming your subconscious and programming your attitude. Attitude's a special word. Attitude is the way you even interpret events in reality. Attitude is the way you even interpret your current mood. So many times we can interpret a negative mood as proof as that we're not good enough. And then the stories of why life is this and that in a bad way, in a negative way, all of a sudden the negative emotions will reinforce those interpretations as true. But if you had a positive attitude around it, you would not reinforce these narratives. Notice if you want to become let's say, a master in your craft in some way? How much are you telling yourself that this is the most important thing for you to focus on? If you genuinely want to change your life in some way, maybe you want to improve your dating life, how much are you giving meaning to that? And how much are you actually reinforcing that? Whether it's the talk that you tell yourself and the talk you tell other people, like, I'm doing this, like, this is what I'm doing, this is the action I'm taking, and it doesn't matter what other people are saying. You just keep bulldozing and telling other people, like, this is me, like, like, to the point where people start believing it themselves, that no, that's you. Try this on. Next time you're in a new group of people, maybe you're in a class at school, or new school year, new school semester. Maybe you are in a new city, a new country. Maybe you're traveling, or maybe you just go to a new meetup group and try on a completely different persona. And you tell people, like, maybe if you're not really disciplined about something, you're like, you you strike the fear of God into people, that you are a disciplined person that does this and this and this. And notice how that feels to kind of tell that to other people, and notice how that motivates you as well. It's really interesting to see. And then what you might notice is that other people will start talking about you. It's like, yeah, Christian, he's the kind of guy that always speaks up. He's the kind of guy that always is studied before a test, like whatever it is. You start to implant it in other people's minds that this is who you are. And this is where one of the biggest challenge comes in, is that how much are you reinforcing it with the people that you've already been living with, right? Especially with any change that you want to make in your life. How much are you reinforcing it to other people? Like, no, this is me. This is the new me. Like, you have to strike it with force, and you have to show it with your action. And you have to show it with your attitude, with your self-talk. People won't take you seriously. And you basically have to not only fight your own internal resistance, but you have to fight the resistance of other people. And so how much are you going to be able to reinforce that such that it becomes true? Such that that meaning is really real? If you start watching a bunch of content that, like, being vegan is like the cat's meow, and eating animals is like the worst sin, and all this stuff, and you reinforce and reinforce and reinforce, and you, or maybe even just like reinforce like that plant-based diets, is good, and like meat is bad. And if you reinforce that, eventually you'll see it in your own paradigm. It's ridiculous to actually see this happen in yourself. And I recommend, trying some safe ways to see the way this works in your own mind. It's remarkable to see. And this video here is just to serve for me as a reminder that whatever you want to do in your life, you just have to reinforce it like crazy. If you want to become a master at something, you have to reinforce it. Think about, was it Kobe Bryant? The Mamba mentality, that I'm going to be practicing longer than everybody else. I'm going to be on the court way more than anybody else. I'm going to suffer through practice more than anyone else. Like, that's a insane self-talk. And that reinforcement, he did it like every day for years. How much are you reinforcing that with yourself? I've noticed in myself where I've actually gone down a path of being like, okay, no meat, or no cooked food, just raw plants. And I did that for 4 solid months. And I noticed how that completely changed my paradigm around food for 4 months. And then I did like this 25-day solid food vacation at the end of it, of juice fasting, like where you just like have freshly squeezed vegetable and fruit juice, and you strain it out and you drink 6 liters of that a day for 25 days, or for however long you need. It took 25 days for me. And yeah, like I just remember the paradigm being in there. And the reason why I was able to even enter into that zone was because I was feeding myself so much content. I had friends online that were feeding me these ideas and so much of this content, and I believed it because they had such a strong ideological belief about it. And this is where this is possibly the positive side of being ideological, the positive side of having such a strong, stubborn mind. Because, of course, being ideological can throw away your flexibility and doesn't line up with reality. And I recommend deconstructing all of your ideologies. But what if you reinforced something about you to the point where it's ideological and it was done on purpose? It was done in a way to empower you. It done in a way to make you more focused, to make you more confident, to actually empower you to bust through that social anxiety. What if you can reinforce something so thoroughly that it changes who you are? And what if that is already the case? That is already what you're doing. What kind of TikToks or short videos or Facebook or Instagram, what are you feeding your mind right now? I see so many men, especially because that's just what I see. You know, I talk to other men mostly. I see so many men feeding their mind with ideas about how dating works and how women work through videos online rather than through direct experiences. And it's almost comical to see, but it's reinforced so thoroughly that that hyper reality has replaced, that map of reality has replaced their actual how they see reality altogether. And so really notice, what kind of messages are you giving yourself? Are you feeding yourself messages of victimhood? You know, are you looking at some sort of news source and then this is the problem and this is another problem and this and this? That's going to reinforce an attitude there. Even the act of consuming content is different from the act of creating, the act of doing something else, right? What are you reinforcing through what you give your attention to? Because what you focus on grows. If you really want to, for example, level up your fitness and you're by focusing on the gym and nutrition, what if you focused only on that? Right? How much would you be reinforcing your life in that direction to really make that important? If you don't tell yourself that health is important, then you're gonna be less likely to make good decisions about your health. Simple as that. What are your top 10 values? That, the ones that you want to have, the conscious values that you want to have that most resonate with you, the 10.0 self you. Yeah, I noticed for myself, having courage is my second highest value, health being number one. And like, why is that the case? In leadership and focus, these are some of my top values here. But how much am I telling myself that is important? If I really value focus and then I'm in day to day, I'm like scattered and my environment's scattered, it's like, well, what the hell? What am I reinforcing here? So to wrap things up, list out the things that you really want in your life, the kind of attitudes that you want, the discipline that you want, the focus that you want. And really ask yourself, okay, how am I reinforcing this? Or maybe what are the ways that I'm not reinforcing it and maybe going against that? What is that for you? And especially if you're an individual like me that wants to achieve mastery. You see, I want to achieve mastery in speaking, in really understanding so thoroughly and being able to communicate it so eloquently that something that I share can radically change your life. I want to be able to master psychology. How do people change? How do people grow? How do people heal? How do people program themselves and change into an elite mindset? You know, how does someone change into someone who's focused, happy, and healthy, balanced? That's what I want to understand. That's what I want to master. You know, primarily speaking. And so, what is that for you? What do you want to master? And how much time are you putting onto it? What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself like, "Oh, you know, I'll focus it on later. I'll focus on that later. I'll put that for tomorrow." What the hell? If you really want to become a master in something, you have to be willing to sacrifice your whole life into it 24/7. Imagine if you found that one thing or you made it that one thing. That like, this is the thing, I will sacrifice my time. Every inch of free time I got, I will focus on this. Every piece of free real estate in my mind, I'm going to be focusing on this. Imagine the level of reinforcement that you'll have and how much more powerful that will make you and how much meaning you'll put into that. For me, speaking, learning, coaching, like these are very meaningful things for me. But for someone that doesn't do that stuff, it's not meaningful at all. Because I'm reinforcing it through me participating in it, me putting my time into it, me taking action into it, putting thought into it, pondering about it, wondering how I can make it better, how can I involve myself more. What is that for you? And just what if you already know what you want to be doing, but you're not quite fully in gear yet? What if all you needed to do was strategically build an infrastructure for yourself where you're reinforcing it more through your mind, through your thoughts, through your actions, through your conversations, so it completely consumes you? Imagine if you allowed yourself to be completely consumed by something and how much that would gear your mind towards it. Now, of course, this needs to be done in a conscious way, in a healthy way. But just for a moment, what if you could? So do not underestimate the power of simply reinforcing your mind. And this happens in many ways, you know, by taking away victim statements, taking away judgments and like words like should. There's that kind of stuff. And that helps a lot. And even choosing how you interpret things, like instead of saying that's bad or you'll say that's an obstacle or whatever, you'll say that's a challenge, right? Or that's an opportunity. And so just notice, what if you went all in on a specific thing? Maybe it's being all in on being the best lawyer you can be, or the best teacher, or the best speaker, the best artist. Or maybe it's going all in on changing your dating life, or all in on changing just your confidence in general. Maybe going all in on marketing. Like, how can you reinforce that the proper identities for yourself such that it will serve you the best? And taking seriously to reinforce it to yourself every single day. That's really it. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, share it. And yeah, see you in the next one.